So, before we begin, I just want to give you a bit of an introduction because we've never chatted before, other than like type messages, have we?
No, we have not.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give you a little introduction. My name is Caduce Campbell. I am the editor-in-chief of thebuttonsmashers.com. Thebuttonsmashers.com is a nerd culture website that covers pretty much everything in nerd culture. I think we've been around for about 6.9 years, approximately. It should be 6.10 in the new month in November, which is upon us very, very soon. It started off as a place for me to host a podcast. That podcast was called Button Smashers Podcast at the time, and which it eventually evolved into That Beautiful Life, the podcast. And so when we started the podcast, we didn't have anywhere to host it, so we started hosting on a bunch of different platforms. I think we started with Last FM. Is that the name of it? No, not Last FM, sorry. It was a free platform where you could just store audio on it, and we used to upload the podcast there. I can't remember the name of it right now. And basically, eventually we realized that we needed to have a way that everyone can find all our episodes in one place, because that website didn't allow for that. And so we started uploading to our own server. We got a free hosting with web or something.com, and that didn't work out too well because we ran out of space quite quickly. And then decided we're going to need to get our own website. So we went to WordPress because they had a lot of space, and made a WordPress and started uploading the podcast there for a bit. And then we decided to start uploading it to a separate server and just hosting it, just sharing it to WordPress. And we did that. And then the site started to get a bit more popular. People started asking if they could write for the site. And then eventually over time, I started to take the site a bit more seriously. And it became thebuttonsmashers.com. And so basically, as it grew and became the site that it is today, now we became an accredited member of the press and get to go to conventions and meet peoples and play video games before they come out and watch anime and manga and all that kind of blah blah blah. And so basically that is the gist of it, of who I am. Now, I'm going to find out who you are in this show. That's the whole point of the podcast. So, the introduction to me, no one needs to hear that in the podcast because, well, they should already know that.
Yeah.
So basically, we've been doing this for a while. So, yes. So, that is the introduction for me and the Button Smashers. And so, the thing is that I wanted to find out from you before we begin, what is your favorite fandom? Are you more of a gamer, or are you more of a general otaku, like anime, manga, that kind of stuff?
Well, I would say that for me, my fandom started as the manga anime side of things first. Mm-hmm. It was definitely my first love. Gaming came in a lot later, actually, because what's interesting is that I never really quite grew up on video games. It's more like I have a cousin, I have friends who were definitely full-on gamers. Me, it was just more like I was on the periphery of it a bit. I mean, I would go over to people's houses, and then like if they wanted to play a video game, I would play with them, or sometimes, like in the case of growing up, me and my cousin are actually about the same age. I often went over to his place a lot as a kid, and then most of the time he would always be playing a video game, and then half the time I'd be watching him, like he'd be playing Spider-Man, Mortal Kombat, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just like, so yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not like I wasn't aware of gaming, it's just that I wasn't really actually playing them much.
Okay.
I would say that I kind of got a little bit more interested in gaming around the time that the Wii came out.
Right.
And then at that time too, it was pretty much in college at the time, and then I went over to friends' place, and then she had a Wii, and then we just kind of had like a whole fun Wii gathering thing going on. And I don't know, I guess I was kind of fascinated by the fact that it's like you're gaming, but then you're also get like a little bit of exercise in it. I don't know why. It was just something very appealing about the Wii. And then that kind of became my very first console. And then around the same time too, when I got the Wii, I also got the DS, the Nintendo DS Lite was what I still have it actually. So yeah, I mean, I was gaming on that for a while, and then I kind of thought that, okay, I think I'm going to be content with this. I don't need to get into any other sort of consoles. But then, as it happens too, every time, it seems like I ended up getting sucked into gaming because it's just more like my friends eventually sort of influenced me there. And it was a big deal when I actually got into gaming, like at least when I got a Wii and a DS, like all my friends were so excited. They started buying me games, recommending me games, which was fine. It was really, really, really an interesting time. And then I was over at another good friend's house, and then actually at the time, I think I don't remember, like for a while, I think she was into just like PlayStation. She actually also had a Wii. And then it was a little later that she ended up buying a Xbox 360 and bought a whole bunch of games. So then I would come over to her place. We would play games, and then I also watch her play some games. And basically, like at the time, like I said, I wasn't really interested in getting any other console. And then what finally made me decide to also add the Xbox 360 to my own like little gaming collection library was like when I first watched her play Dragon Age Origins.
Wow.
Because it's just like, yeah, she was like saying, yeah, let's like, why don't you check this game out that I'm gonna play, and like I'm gonna show it to you and everything. So then like we created like a whole character together. She kind of made me make all the options. I mean, she was the one that was handling the controller. She just would have me like select whatever it was on the screen that she showed me, like the build of the character, the class, and the story, all of that stuff. So she had me make all the decisions, and then she just played through everything, and I just kind of watched her. And then for some reason, it was like I got really, really into it. And then after that day, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a 360 and I'm buying this game. And yeah, the rest is pretty much history, I guess, with the gaming stuff. Very long-winded story.
Okay. I have to say, I was planning to do an intro, and and now I'm not even sure if I want to. Oh my God. But I have to say, I'm so happy that I already started recording. I'm so happy that I started recording because that means that I have all this amazing story to use in the recording, which is beautiful. I love that. Okay, so I think I'm going to do an intro. So I'm going to say hello and welcome to this podcast. I'm not too sure specifically which podcast I'm going to put this recording on. It may end up being on Simply Otaku or That Beautiful Life podcast, depending on whichever one it is. Hello and welcome to the fans of that podcast, whoever you may be. Hope you're enjoying this recording. If this is That Beautiful Life podcast, you guys are accustomed to my voice. You listen to me pretty much every week. And yeah, you guys should recognize me. If you are listening to this and this is Simply Otaku Podcast, on the other hand, you're not familiar with my voice and you've probably never really heard me before. I'm not the regular host for this podcast. That happens to be Chris and Kaylee. But we're still in talks about what we're doing with regards to this podcast and so forth. And so if it happens to be Simply Otaku Podcast, hello and welcome. I may be a regular voice in this now, and you may have to put up with me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That being said, you guys have heard the beautiful voice of my friend Christine. Christine is here today with me. We're chatting about Christine, pretty much. And Christine she's a blogger. She has a very nice blog. I believe it's called Simpleek, if I'm correct. Am I correct, Christine?
Yes, that's correct.
Why Simpleek?
Although people have, yeah, that's the funny thing. I mean, probably some people who follow me don't even know me as Christine, even though it is actually in the About page. Some people just address me as Simpleek, and it's like, okay, that works too. But yes, you asked me why Simpleek. Yeah, that's an interesting one too, I guess. Pretty much I started the blog back in, I think, what is it, like November of 2009. So actually, like my little anniversary for my blog is coming up.
Wow.
So it's coming up pretty soon already. So yeah, I started the blog back in 2009, and it was around the time, I remember I just had finished college and everything, and then like most post-college grads, you know, trying to figure out their way in the world. And, you know, I was like going through post-college, first-time jobs and stuff, but it wasn't exactly jobs I really cared for. But I mean, I was still trying to figure things out for myself. And of course, during that time period, I was working in jobs I didn't really like. My whole thing was that I wanted to do a job that was more of on a creative bent, you know, mostly writing, something of that nature. And because I was working at a job I didn't really care for, I was kind of at a place where it's just like I need like a creative outlet, like I need something fun, like something for myself. So I decided that, so I'm doing like a little bit of gaming, watching a lot of anime, reading a lot of manga. Unfortunately, today I don't exactly have that much time to watch as many anime or read as much manga as I used to. But at the time when I first started the blog, I was doing a lot of that stuff. So then I figured, okay, maybe since I wanted to talk about this stuff, and sometimes I always have thoughts in my own head about things that I would kind of, I guess, discuss to myself in a way. I just kind of figured, I need a good outlet. So then I decided to, maybe I should write a blog. So I decided to go on WordPress because I liked their user interface. Everything with WordPress seemed pretty simple. So I set that up, and then when it came time to basically come up with a name for it, I wanted to kind of think of something pretty unique. And I was also trying to figure out a way of like, well, how do I convey pretty much what it is that I'll be talking about and what my blog was about. So pretty much my blog is me talking about a lot of nerdy things. So it's mostly anime, manga, and video games. Sometimes there's also discussions on movies, TV, and occasionally books, but not as much as before, I guess. So I did like a lot of that. And then of course, like, I'm also into fashion a little bit. So in that, so there was like a lot. I mean, my interests are pretty varied. So then as I was going through name ideas for the blog, I kind of came up with Simply Geek, but then wanted to shorten it. So then I kind of I sort of created this little word that doesn't really exist, doesn't have a meaning. So I combined the two together, and it just became Simpleek. So just combining Simply and Geek together to just come up with Simpleek, and that's the birth of my blog and the name of it.
That is pretty cool. I think that's the thing when it comes to doing something. Like sometimes you have a really good idea of something you want to do, but you don't know what you're gonna call it, and that is where your creativity comes in. I think when we started one of the podcasts that I do, which is called Hopeless the Animanic, we were thinking about we want to do an anime podcast that solely focuses on romantic anime, and we sat there and we were thinking, we were like, hopeless romantic anime podcast, and we came up with a bunch of stuff, and then we were like, Hopeless the Animanic, and so that's how we ended up with that. And I guess your story is kind of like that. You have an idea, a great idea, and then you're like, what do? I know what I have a general idea about where I want the name to be, and then you just sort of just mesh words together and make some new words. And it's kind of like I always say the phrase blab-de-bloop, and only people who listen to That Beautiful Life really know what I mean by that. It just doesn't really mean anything. It's just a thing I say. So, but yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's pretty cool. So, I've been following your blog for a while. I've been popping in and out every so often. I tend to check your blog a lot, very frequently, when you do conventions, and I think that's kind of the thing that you do really, really well, is that when you go to conventions, you write these really nice sort of breakdowns of the whole event, and you have all these pictures of everything. It sort of gives people who are reading a sort of like an experience of what this is like to be at a convention. I guess you can say it's sort of like a sort of a less visual way of, showing or giving someone a piece of an experience that you had at a convention. For us, we usually would try to get video footage and recordings and all that kind of blah, 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 but that's just over time we've come to do that kind of stuff. But you still write, and you still give that sort of written experience where someone can sit and get comfortable and just read along and understand what it's like to be at whatever event you're at, if it's New York Comic Con or PAX or whatever have you, and I like that. So
well, thank you.
You're welcome. So where did the convention start? Did you initially plan, or were you already doing conventions when you started the blog, or was it something that happened over time? And these days now, do you go to conventions as a member of the press, or is it just out of pocket that you just buy a ticket and you go and you just have fun and then you just write about it?
It's been a really long time now. I can't really recall if I've been going to conventions before the blog. I'm going to say that I probably did.
Okay.
So it's more like before, I was just kind of attending and having fun, but I didn't write about it at the time because I didn't really have anything to put it someplace. But yeah, in general, it's just since I've been keeping this blog for a long time now as well. I've always enjoyed going to Comic-Con, and then now, of course, PAX East. Mm-hmm. So then I just kind of made it a point that, my blog's about geeky stuff, specifically like video games and sometimes comics and all those other things. So I definitely wanted to occasionally add that in there whenever the conventions come around, when it's that time. But yeah, I enjoy writing like my experience there, like what I see, what I do. I don't really write it as like a member of the press. I guess I just really haven't thought about trying to submit my blog as like a member of the press sort of thing. It's just more like I buy the ticket and I go because it's like I want to go, I want to be there, I want to have fun, so I'm going to do it. But then I also have this blog. I always keep in mind that, okay, I need to check out certain things, like maybe like what's interesting that I could do, like whether it's Comic-Con or PAX East, what's maybe if there's like a really cool booth to check out, maybe there's a interesting game to demo. Like I try to really participate in like all of these activities that's going on there as much as possible. Same with the panels if I can as well. I don't make it a point to always target like the big celebrity panels all the time, mostly because I know that it's going to be super crowded and I just don't want to wait on a long line for it. So that's sometimes it's like, unless if it's something I really, really want to see, like one year there was, and I think this was actually before the revival, there was an X-Files panel and Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny were going to be at the panel, and that was like the one time that I literally, like me and my friend, we lined up like way ahead, planted ourselves there and waited so we could hopefully get in, which we did. And it was an awesome time. I do make exceptions, but otherwise, I don't always target like those big name kind of panels. I always tend to target the smaller ones. And usually I find that the smaller ones are just as interesting too, because they discuss a lot of interesting topics that are related to like geek culture. And I don't know. I guess sometimes I kind of feel like those often get overlooked when in reality it's like, you should actually kind of give those ones a chance and not constantly focus on like the Walking Dead panel or like trying to, like in Comic-Con they had a panel for the upcoming Hellboy movie. Like, there are other interesting panels to go to, but I mean, unfortunately for my case, since I did go to Comic-Con this this few weeks ago, there unfortunately weren't as many smaller panels that were going on that day that I attended. So this year I didn't really go to a panel, but most of the time I do try to find something of interest to check out.
And you mentioned that your friend that you went with your friend. Do you usually go with friends, or is it something that sometimes you do alone when you go to conventions? Because I know for me personally, now I go to conventions for work, not as much fun anymore. But so usually I don't go with anyone. I'm usually, unless of course it's someone on my team, I usually tend to do conventions alone. And even if I do go with people, I tend to like lose them in the sense of we'd go together and then I'd be like, okay, I will see you in like a couple hours. I'm going to do a couple interviews and I'll meet you here or something. And so, is it similar, or do you just usually go to a friend and do you guys just go around and just enjoy it together? Or is it something that that you're able to just sort of like say, okay, well, I'm going to do a couple of panels, I'm going to do a couple of things, I will find you when I find you?
Well, I've actually done a little bit of both. Like I've done conventions where I've gone with friends. Like I have one friend who we pretty much just do everything together.
Is this the Xbox friend?
Yes.
Okay.
So like, yeah, we've often like done, every time we go to Comic-Con or go to PAX East, like pretty much if we're both together, we kind of just stay together. But then luckily too, I have so many other friends who go to these same conventions, and then every once in a while we'll like meet up with them. But then sometimes what ends up happening is that like those group of friends might decide to do their own thing, and then me and her would end up kind of breaking off from them and then just doing our own thing. So there is a little bit of that going on. And then in the last few years, like because of like some weird scheduling issues, like the Xbox friend that I usually go to Comic-Con with or PAX East, where we're kind of joined at the hip when we go to these things together. Like because of like some scheduling issues in the last few years, she wasn't able to go with me to those. So then what ended up happening is that I actually went to Comic-Con. There were like 2 years that I went to Comic-Con by myself, and like 2 years that I actually also went to PAX East by myself. And then at first, I guess I was a little uncertain if I would actually enjoy going by myself. I mean, even though I did have some of my friends, some other friends that I knew that were going to be there too, and we'd meet up, that's fine. So it's not like I was totally alone. And it was just the idea of kind of just wandering the convention center by myself with not anybody like walking around with me. So I wasn't certain if I would like it, but then when I think I did it for the first time the first time 1 year with PAX East. Like when I actually did it, then I discovered that, I actually also like going around by myself, because in some cases, like, I love my other friend that usually is like my buddy to go with me everywhere. But at the same time too, it was just kind of nice of like quietly observing things on my own, just kind of not having to like turn to the other person and be like, oh, so what do you want? Do you want to go over here? You want to do this? You want to do that? Like it was nice that it's just like I had to just rely on myself to just make the decisions. Like, and if I wanted to do something, I can just go ahead and do it. I don't have to consult anybody about it. So yeah, it was interesting to kind of get an experience with a little bit of both, attending these sort of things with a friend and then also attending by myself. So in a way, it's like either way is actually fine. But then I think we do have plans to possibly go to PAX East next year. So she's actually going to be able to join me this time around because now her work schedule has settled out now, and she could actually start attending these things again when last year she was not able to attend with me.
That is beautiful. It's beautiful when you when you have a friend that you don't see very often, but you get to see them again, and it's just like, yay, we get to hang out and all that kind of stuff. I also should, warn the listeners, if you hear any sort of weird background noise, that may be my neighbor's kids. It is Sunday afternoon when we're recording this, and my neighbor's kids are quite loud sometimes, and they just run past doing what kids do, making noise. Well, my neighbor's kids are extra loud. They're noisier than regular kids. Anyone who listens to That Beautiful Life should know this by now, because at some point we probably recorded an episode in the middle of the day, and those kids just make noise. So I just wanted to just point that out. It's not me just shouting in the background as Christina's talking. No, those are the kids. But back to the point. It's great. The whole thing when you get to see friends that you don't get to see very often when you go to conventions and stuff like that. Like, for example, I have a mate that I'm looking forward to seeing from San Francisco next time I go back out to San Francisco, because he's not a convention guy, but we became friends because we stayed at the same Airbnb, and so we became friends from that. And he basically, when I wasn't doing work stuff in the city, he carried me around and showed me everything and sort of just really introduced me to the culture and stuff like that. And because at first my intention was just basically, when I go to events and conventions and stuff like that, my intention is always get the work done and just get back home. That's basically it. I never really think of, oh, should I go check out this place or should I do that or whatever have you. It's never really my thing. And that was basically what I would do. I'd go out, do some work, come back, sit on my laptop and get some work done. And I was sitting at the Airbnb, and he came back, and he was like, hey man, and we started chatting, and eventually he's just like, every time I'd come back, he'd be like, are you just gonna sit there? Come on, let's go out and get something to eat or something. And eventually, I kept going out, and I got no work done. So I got
the other end of the spectrum where it's like you were having fun, but it's like, oh, but I had to do this.
Pretty much. The last night I was in San Francisco this year, he asked me, he begged me to come back to the Airbnb. He's like, mate, he's like, where are you? I just finished a press event at NAS America, and I was in an Uber heading back to the airport. And he's like, your flight's not even till like 10 hours, mate. Like, just come back to the flat. We'll hang out. We'll go out, get something to eat. We'll chill. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to make sure that I'm at the airport in time. I really didn't have to be at the airport in time. I just want to get some work done. And,
yeah.
And I love him to that. He's a great guy. So, yeah, sometimes you gotta ditch your friends. Keith, if you ever listen to this, buddy, I didn't mean to ditch you, man. Everything I just said was just for the show. I did plan to come back and see you, and yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
You'll make it up to you.
I'll make it up to you, indeed. I will. I'll your next drink will be on me. Let's put it on that. We'll have breakfast. We'll do coffee. I'll buy you coffee. It'll be good. So yeah. Other than that, there's the whole thing about conventions. You've mentioned PAX, you've mentioned New York Comic Con. Question is, have you ever been to an event or convention outside of the US? And if no, why not?
I definitely have not done a convention outside of the US. Not because I'm not interested. I guess it's just more like scheduling issues, and also trying to get the vacation time for me to possibly consider doing a convention outside of the US. Otherwise, I would totally be up for doing one for sure. It's just a lot of the times it's just more like the thing with New York Comic Con and PAX East is that it always works out for me to go to those two specifically because, well, for New York Comic Con, I'm living here in New York City.
So it's pretty close by.
Yeah, I'm a New York native. Yeah, born and raised New York girl, so it's very easy for me to get to New York Comic Con, no problem. And then for PAX East, Boston's not that far from New York, so I could actually just hop on a bus, get to Boston, stay for the weekend, and then also be back before Monday morning when I gotta roll into work, unfortunately.
The thing is that like, for example, there's some members of my team or other friends that I know of who they would literally, because most conventions happen on the weekend. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you're back on the Monday. I know some friends who'd literally hop a flight, fly over to somewhere, spend a week, and be back by the Monday as well. So I'm finding your excuse very, very unappealing, if I do say so myself.
Well, yeah, apparently they definitely like.
The excuse of work cannot be used in this situation.
It's just like, they got me there.
Yes, they do. They do got you there with the flyover for the weekend. I'm gonna have to ask then. Are there any conventions outside the US that you do want to attend, that you know of, that you're like, you know what, I gotta do this at least once? Let's exclude TGS, as that is in Japan, and you can't do that over a weekend.
Although that'd be awesome, because I mean, I definitely need another excuse to go to Japan again.
Oh, everyone needs an excuse to go to Japan.
I know, exactly. I mean, I don't know of any conventions that I really want to go off the top of my head, but I mean, I follow like other blogs. There's like one blog that I follow, and then she's based in the UK, and it seems like she goes to a lot of conventions that are out in London. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the name of it, but when I read like her posts about it, to me it's like, oh, that sounds cool. It's like, if I were able to go to a convention in London, I mean, I'd definitely be interested in doing that. And in general, it's like, one, it's to definitely attend like a really fun video game convention, and two, obviously when I'm done with the convention, it's like I'm in London, so of course I would definitely want to tour around London. I mean, I've actually been to London before, but I mean, I wouldn't mind going back again.
Oh man, I've not been to London before, but I'm looking forward to going pretty soon, because my brother is British and lives in London. Well, he doesn't live in London himself. He lives outside of London. But basically, I'm supposed to go visit him very, very soon. I was supposed to, we were scheduled to go over to visit. My sister and I were supposed to visit him next month. We planned to do it next month. But I'm launching a new business venture right now, and so basically we've kind of pushed it back. We're not sure. We haven't tied down a date yet. But my brother keeps saying, he's like, hey, just get on a flight and come over. So. So basically, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm thinking the event you're thinking of, maybe EGX. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's definitely.
I'm thinking maybe to try EGX, but that's in September, if I'm correct. And so if I go very soon, I'm not going to be able to do EGX. So maybe I'll do some of those smaller ones. Maybe I'll get to try out a smaller London-based convention while I'm there. But I'm looking forward to doing London. I have a couple plans when I get there. Some interesting plans that are going to just be really, really fun. And one of the guys from my team is from the UK, and so we're gonna do coffee. I like coffee. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but I do.
Yeah, you've mentioned that more than once, so kind of hard to not notice that. But coffee's great. I love coffee too. More than tea, actually.
Really? No, I'm sorry. I can't put coffee over tea. I love coffee, but you can't put coffee over tea. It's like and I've rediscovered my love for tea in recent years because my family we run a cafe, and at our cafe, my sister started stocking this sort of like tea bags that called vanilla chai, and
Oh.
and they are so good. They're like beautiful, and you drink it, and it's just like, oh my god, this is better than anything I've ever had in my life, and it's like especially once you have like with coffee mate with it or some tea, it's like romance in your mouth, but as it goes down your stomach, it's just really really good and really really tasty.
I like that description, romance in your mouth. I love that.
It's so good.
I gotta steal that. That's great.
By all means, feel free to use it. It's an open space. We share everything. Kind of like how the Airbnb I stayed at, it was an open space and everyone was like, we share everything. Yeah, we share everything. Yeah. It's okay. You can use whatever you want. Except you can't have my tea in the refrigerator. That's the only thing. That's mine. But everything else.
I won't touch your tea. I promise. But it's funny though because like I've always been more of a coffee drinker. I was never really big on tea. I guess it's because I don't know. I guess definitely as a kid, I think the first time I tried tea, to me it tasted like flavored water. I don't know. I was a kid. I didn't understand like the whole hype behind tea. But then as I got older and started frequenting like sushi restaurants and things like that, obviously a lot of the Japanese restaurants tend to serve you green tea most of the time, and then as I kept drinking green tea, I started realizing that I actually like green tea, and then I started exploring a little bit more with teas. I mean, my taste with tea is still pretty limited, but I mean, I find that I like green tea a lot, and vanilla chai too is also very good.
Vanilla chai is beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. I feel I must ask though, because it's a strange thing here in the Caribbean. We kind of grew up with tea as like a part of breakfast. It's like you get a cup of tea, maybe some toast and some eggs or something in the morning. What is a typical New Yorker breakfast for like a kid growing up?
Well, I mean, I guess for New York, usually when you think breakfast, it's like coffee and bagels. Because
for a kid?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've eaten bagels as a kid, like bagel with cream cheese. I mean, I love that. And especially when you're a New Yorker, it's like a big thing is New York bagels, or in some cases a breakfast sandwich.
And the coffee as a kid. So you had coffee as a kid?
Oh no, I didn't have coffee as a kid. I mean, I had chocolate milk at least, but I definitely had chocolate milk and a bagel as a kid. As an adult, it's more like coffee and whatever else that I have lying around in the kitchen. I mean, these days, like, if I'm not buying my breakfast outside, most of the time, for me, it's like coffee and oatmeal.
Ooh, now you start to sound more like my bro Roger. Coffee and oatmeal, very nice. I've been recently becoming a big fan of oatmeal because Rog loves oatmeal, and it's kind of his staple breakfast. It's a very Swedish breakfast: oatmeal, some jam, and some toast. So
I wouldn't have a very Swedish breakfast.
It is very sweet. That's basically what he has every morning. He'll have some jam in the oatmeal, by the way. So he'll have the oatmeal, he'll have some jam inside the oatmeal, and then he'll have some toast on the side, and that'll be his and he'll have a cup of tea as well, and that'll be his breakfast.
So not the jam on the toast?
No, the jam is in the oatmeal. I did not know that that's a thing until I met Rog, and then I tried it myself, and it was tasty. So that is a very Swedish breakfast, and I've been having it. And when I say very Swedish, because Roger is the most Swedish person I know. He's Swedish, and and I've not heard any other Swedish breakfasts. So basically, yeah, that's the most Swedish breakfast I know of, and it's very delicious. I've had my oatmeal, and I love oatmeal, and oatmeal is great. So
yes, oatmeal is great.
It's a healthy breakfast. The thing is, as a kid though, those things don't even appeal to you, like stuff like oatmeal and stuff. You're sort of like, you want to have French fries and a burger for breakfast, but but as you grow older, there's so many things that sort of like change in your perspective of things. Things you have for breakfast, or just the things you value. Like one of the things for me that I used to value a lot as a kid is that every time for my birthday or Christmas or stuff like that, I wanted like things like game consoles or video games, or anime or something like really cool that I could play with. And as I've gotten older, I want socks. And, and I never thought I'd reach that point where I'd be like that guy that wants socks. But I never have socks. I basically want stuff that go missing all the time, and socks always go missing. For some reason they always do. And so, like, very recently, one of my family members was visiting family in I believe it was it Brooklyn, I think. And he got back, and he brought back a gift for me, and it was some pairs of socks. I was like, man, I'm so thankful, because he was like trying to apologize to me. He's like, I wish I brought back something better for you. I was like, no, mate, this is perfect. I just want socks.
So, you was probably shocked, like, wait, really? You're happy about socks?
When you lose socks in the dryer or anywhere, you want socks. Especially when it's like you have one pair and you don't know where the other one is, because that always happens. There's always one pair of one side, and you end up mixing and matching. And somehow it turns out, even if you buy like 5 of the same color socks, somehow it turns out that you find 2 different colored socks all the time, or one is shorter than the other one or something. It's just weird that way. I believe socks are evil, and they're just like messing with us.
No, it's actually like my older sister. She's very much into socks a lot of the time. So when the holidays come around, like, my mom just gets her socks. It's like, yeah, that's easy. It's like it's something she wants. But I mean, I think that's just it's just natural. Like, the older you get, your wants and your needs become very, very, like, practical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In general.
Boring. That's basically what happens to us as we get older.
You no longer want the cool stuff. It's like, no, I don't want that. It's like, I want the clothes, which is the thing that as a kid you're like, ugh, clothes, and you throw it away. Me too, because even as a kid, like, people would give me money. I'm like, I don't want this here. Give it to my mom or something.
You're like, give me something cool that I can play with.
Exactly. And then, like, as an adult, you're like, are you crazy?
I will take that money and those socks. It's amazing how perspective changed. I guess I don't want to use the word older, but the more experience you have in life, because there are some younger people that I know that are very different in the sense of their experience, and their maturity level is different as well. Because, like, for example, I have a little cousin. His name is Nate. Well, Nathan. I call him Nate. And for a kid, he's very mature. Like, I mean, Nathan likes, and he's like, I think Nathan's like probably like 5 or 6 years old or something, but he still likes the kid stuff. Like, he'll watch his Paw Patrol and his Thomas the Train and that kind of stuff. But he's also like super mature. Like, he'll sit nice and not make noise and not run around like other kids. And he'll bring a stuffed animal and he'll tuck it in next to you when you're sleeping. And he's just like an adult in a kid package, basically. So I'd like to use the term, as you gain more experience, I guess, for, when you start favoring socks and other what we'd call fun things as presents.
Exactly.
So, moving on. Moving along. There's one thing about your blog. I've been following your blog for a while, and there's one thing about it that is very particular about your blog, and it's become my sort of like what's the right word for it? A mystery. I kind of feel like Scooby-Doo when I go to your blog sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Because not Scooby himself, but probably I'd want to say I'd be Fred. Because Scooby and Shaggy aren't too smart, and Fred's the smartest guy on the team, so I'll go with him, even though I'm not a jock. But basically, I kind of feel like Fred when I come to your blog, because there's one thing on your blog that's very elusive, and those are pictures of you. There are no pictures of you excluding one. I think it's one picture of you. That's the same picture for your Twitter. That's on your blog, and so I'm curious. I have never seen a picture of you online other than your Twitter picture. How would I know pictures of you? I know everyone who does blogs. They have an Instagram, they have a Twitter, they have a Facebook, they have all these things, and so you at least somehow see a picture of them. I've never seen one of you, and that is that's very particular. It's very peculiar, I guess, if you want to say that, because one of my favorite bloggers that I follow is they're on what's the name of their blog? They do a podcast as well, and one of the hosts' name is Chris Etlin. It's like a really cool guy.
Well, now they used to be at the Buzzer, now they're Team Objection. Yes. Team
Objection, that's the thing. And the thing is, even Chris, I was able to find pictures of Chris when I started following Chris and Sean and Michelle, and
yes,
I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, what does Michelle? I'm like, what does Christine look like? What if she's like a dude that uses the name Christine? You know. So before this call, as I'd never heard your voice before, I was prepared for everything. I was like,
it's like, okay, like don't panic. I mean, hopefully she's a girl, but maybe she might be a dude, and then I figure out what to do with that.
I had to make sure I tempered my reaction to whatever your voice came out as. So if it came out as a dude's voice, if it was like, hello, I'm Michelle, I'd have just been like, hi, Michelle, you know, and I'd just keep a poker face, you know. I said Michelle. I'm saying Michelle, I said Christine, sorry. We're talking about at the Buzzer randomly. But yes, so Christine, what's the reason for the mystery?
Well, I mean, for the longest time, I guess like around the time like when the internet was like starting to get really, really going. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously the internet was like a big, new, strange, foreign thing that came into our lives, but also like a very fascinating one at the same time. So, and then of course you had like all this stuff with like AIM and like chatting, AOL online, all of that stuff going on at the time. So pretty much people, when they communicated, was just like through IM chats and everything. Mm-hmm. So then, I mean, I remember too, like, as like a young kid and everything, like, my mother's like very overprotective and stuff, and then she always likes to err on the side of caution. So she would always say like, oh, you know, be careful, don't give away like all your personal information, like don't exchange pictures. So I mean, I guess it's kind of been ingrained in my head not to like reveal so much of myself in a way. And then for me, it's like, I know it's like, it's weird in the age of like Facebook and Instagram, especially, it's like if they're not even like people that you know personally, like your friends or something. Basically it's unheard of. It's like almost everybody's picture is out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's like I've always been pretty private, and it's just like, while I don't mind sharing certain aspects of myself through the written word, I guess it's just, for me, it's like I'm still sort of not comfortable like displaying my picture all over the place. Mm-hmm. Not unless, like, at least not unless if you like know me personally or on some level. I mean, I have become friends with online friends, some who I've met, some who I've never met before, but like, you know, we built a level of trust over time that, you know, I became comfortable like connecting with them on Facebook, or if we're in town, like in New York or something, or if I were to go wherever it is they're at to visit, like, you know, I'm comfortable like meeting up with them and everything, and like sending them a photo of myself, that sort of thing. But then it's more like if I don't know you on any kind of like personal level, or I don't have that comfort level, it's just like, for me personally, it's like I'm not really open to like having my picture plastered all over the place. So that's really the only reason why like there's actually no picture of me on my blog itself. Oh. Except maybe only one is just like the Twitter profile, I guess, which is really kind of like a side profile thing.
It is. But I'm so happy that I understand the mystery now, because it's been eating at me every time you post a convention article. I sift through the article, I'm just like, okay, she's gotta have one picture where even there's a reflection or something.
Nothing.
I go through and I'm just like, oh no, there's none. There's no picture, there's no reflection. This is such a mystery to me, because I'm the kind of person, this is a weird thing about me, is that I'm very curious about things, and I just, there are things about things that I need to know. Like my mind will not let me rest unless I know something about things, you know. And so it's like usually like, you know, like sometimes when you have a thought and then you can't remember specifically what it is, and you're like, oh, it's on the tip of my mind, I don't know what it is. And so it's kind of like that, but not as prevalent. It's sort of like in the back of my... Every time I stumble across one of your posts, I'm just like, did she post a picture of herself in here? Scroll through, read the article, okay, not, okay, cool. And I eventually I just sort of like, it just fades back out of my memory. But every time I go through like Scooby-Doo and I scroll through and I look for reflections, because I've come to the point where I've accepted that there aren't going to be any pictures of you that are direct. So I'm just like, look for the reflections queue. At some point there's going to be a reflection. She's gonna miss something, you know. And as a secret agent, we're gonna find this, and then the mystery will be solved.
I mean, apparently I've been pretty meticulous in like the pictures I post.
Too meticulous indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really the only reason. It's just like, I guess it's really like I kind of like that air of mystery a little bit, and then I guess for me too, it's like, well, I mean, people are coming more for like what I write, at least I hope so, and enjoy what I write, and then it's not really so much about how I look like too. And then I guess it's also like partial paranoia too, because then I kind of feel like, well, if I put my picture out there, then people might start digging a little bit, and then they'll start figuring out, like, you know, because I don't even put my full name either.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. And it's like, you know, I kind of feel like people will get really smart. They'll put two and two together. They'll probably find like my Facebook. They'll find my LinkedIn. And it's like, I don't want that.
They'll be by your house in the morning. They'll be like, hey, I came over. I found these pictures on the internet. I went looking for them, found them. I've come over. You don't know who I am. I'm some random stranger person that just dug you up online. And I've come over for no other reason, just to say that I found it. And then I'm going to leave. And
I mean, it's an irrational fear, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, it's just one of those things like, yeah, I'm not comfortable, like, putting myself publicly out there. Not unless if I become, like, a rich and famous author, then I kind of have no choice, I guess.
You could still be a hidden author. The thing is, though, I have to say, I completely understand, because my sisters are exactly like that. I have two sisters. And it took my older sister a while. Like we launched a couple businesses together, and that was when she eventually started using her actual name online, because she just used to use an alias on Facebook. And my younger sister still uses an alias on Facebook and barely ever posts any pictures of herself. And they don't have anything else. My sisters are so paranoid. They have stickers over their cameras on their webcam on their laptops. And, and it's the same thing. My mom's very conservative, and she's very like, don't put certain things of yourself online, and be very, thing. I guess for me, I just didn't listen, I just post everything. And like there's one thing that I posted on Facebook, and it pissed my mom off so bad. It was like, it was really, really a thing. My sister and I, we were mucking about, we were having a laugh, and she dared me to let her put makeup on me and put it on Facebook. And and I was like, you're on, I'm gonna win this. And so my sister makes me up, and this was in recent years. This is probably like about maybe about 3 years ago or something like that. And so she makes me up, and then we take a picture, and I put it up on Facebook. And my mom sees the picture, and she completely loses it. She's just like, "How could you do this? You can't be putting these things up on your social media. What will people think?"
So how did you explain that one, or how did you pacify her?
I was like, I don't really care, Mom. I was like, it's not like
I want one person.
I'm my own boss. That's the lucky thing, is that I don't work for anyone, so I don't have to worry about like what my boss would think or anything like that. And so from that point of view, as I'm self-employed, I'm able to. I don't have to worry about what employers think. I mean, granted, when I did work at companies, I did used to be a bit more conservative with regards to my social stuff, but as someone who's self-employed, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about someone who I work with, because the people I work with, they know I can be wacky sometimes. So I don't have to worry about them finding something that's weird about me online. And especially, I like to mess with people on my social media for Facebook. So every so often, I post something that just messes with people, and it's for no other reason, just to mess with people that follow me. And so. So from time to time I posted stuff, and there are two main times that my mom lost it. It was that time with the makeup picture, and one other time where I was dating this girl at the time, and a friend of mine in my social media had these chain mail that people post where they have a post and it's a chain post, and after you comment on it, the other person tells you, hey, you got to tag this amount of people in it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's usually something like strange you have to say. So in this one, you had like 5 choices, and the 5 choices were like, 1, I found out that I'm gay. 2, I fell in love with my ex again, or something like that. 3, I murdered someone, or some kind of like. There were all these ridiculous choices. Okay. And so I was just like, I'm gonna find the ones that are so not me, like so things that people would not believe, right? And I'm gonna use those because you were only supposed to use 1, but I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going all the way. I'm gonna mess with people so bad. And so at the time, before I did it, I messaged my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, hey babe, I'm gonna post something weird on Facebook. Can you just like don't worry about it? And she's like, oh yeah, it's fine, I understand. And and I go and I post on my wall. I'm like, that moment when that really sexy guy at work, you start wondering about him, and then you see your ex and you start thinking, oh, what if we got back together, and all these sort of things. And then there's one other thing that I put in there as well, some other weird thing. And so when I posted on Facebook, I was like, everyone's gonna be like, they're gonna be like, questioning all these things. No one questioned anything except wait a minute, Q, you're gay? And it's like, everyone came into the chat, and there's just like, I had like different friends coming in like, hey man, you got my support, coming out and all that kind of stuff is all good and all that kind of stuff. And I'm there with my ex, we're on this call together after I got home, because I was doing this on my way home. And we're on this call together, and I'm just like, babe, can you see these comments? And we're just laughing about it, because at the time no one knew who I was dating. Because I didn't post my relationship status online, so we were just having a good laugh. There were like 1 or 2 friends who knew I was dating her, and so they didn't comment, but everyone else did, and it was it was hilarious. But my mom lost it. She was not happy.
No,
mom didn't like that. She was not happy. She was like, take it down and all that kind of stuff.
Actually follows you on Facebook.
My mom doesn't follow me on Facebook, but she on occasions sees stuff from my sister's Facebook profiles, because my mom doesn't have a Facebook profile. She's not into that. She has WhatsApp, and that's basically it for her. Because mom doesn't feel comfortable, because I try to make her Facebook, but she's like, I don't want that. She's not really that kind of person. So yeah, sorry, mom.
Neither is my mom, actually.
Say that again.
Neither is my mom. She's not on Facebook either.
I'm sure she finds stuff on your profile through your sister or other family members, is it?
Well, actually, not my older sister's not on Facebook. I'm the only one in the family that has a Facebook.
Oh my! So your mom has to come over and log onto your computer to see what's going on your Facebook.
Well, I mean, not really, because she doesn't really get to see any of that stuff. And she actually respects my privacy too, so I don't really quite have to worry about that stuff.
Oh. That's nice. My mom doesn't respect my privacy. She will go on my sister's profile and look at my Facebook to see what weird stuff I post, and then tell me about it. She'll be like, why did you do that? Like, there was a point in time where I pierced my ears, and mom was like, I did not know I made 3 girls. So yeah, every time I do something that is out of character, mom tells me about it, and usually when I do things out of character, I'm either messing with people or I'm going through a breakup. That's basically how it works. It's either I'm going through a breakup, because the piercing of my ears, I was going through a breakup, and I was like, my friends were like, mate, we all got our ears pierced, you should pierce your ears too. And I was just like, you know what, frack, I'm gonna do it. Pierce my ears. So basically, I understand the conservativeness, and I understand the whole growing up from a conservative family, and growing up where parents who are like, you got to do things a particular way. I just broke away from the mold. I was just like, I'm not having it anymore, and now I don't. I'm the black sheep. Just not having it. So yeah.
Well, it makes it more interesting, I think.
Say that again.
it makes life more interesting, I think.
It does make life more interesting to just break away a bit, just something. But it does make your mystery a lot more interesting too. Now that I know the secret of a mystery, now I'm not gonna have that mystery anymore. Now every time you post a convention event thing, I'm gonna read the article, but I'm not really gonna be looking for like reflections anymore.
Well, if anybody listens to, this podcast and then also decide to check out my blog, then they also don't have to try to figure out how I look like, what I look like. Or maybe they're even more interested because it's like, well, she doesn't post a photo. Why not?
Soon you'll have people hiding in the bushes outside of your place. They're just gonna be like, I'm gonna be the person to get the elusive picture of her.
It's like, please don't.
Oh my god! I think I've had the stalker experience, and I can say it's not nice. Not that close to the picture thing, but the people that do stalk you, that know where you are when you don't know where you are. Like they're like, hey, I saw you today, and I was looking at you from afar, and I'm like, really? That's not nice. You shouldn't do that.
That keep maybe 15 yards away from me. And
how about never ever find me ever and don't look for me, and we'll be good. Yeah, I think that sounds good.
It's nice. No, don't stalk people, please.
I had a Facebook friend who we went to school together. This is someone I knew. And recently he was like, hey Q, I saw you walking through the Capitol, man, and yeah, you look like you were busy, so I didn't want to hail you out and say hi or something. Like, are you serious, mate? Like, you should have just said hi. Like, it's weird when you're like, when you see me and I don't see you. And
it's like, I know you. It'd be okay if you said hi.
It would be. He was like, I wasn't sure if I should say hi. And I'm like, dude. Come on, that is so creepy. Like in my mind, I'm like, every time I'm walking to the Capitol now, I'm like looking around. I'm like, if that guy happens to be there, hiding in some corner or something, looking to see me and then message me. Oh,
but I am so bad in public sometimes because it's funny because I'll be walking somewhere and then people would say that, I saw you, at that corner deli or something. It's like, wait, really? When? It's like, just like a few days ago. But then it's like, I tried to wave at you, but you didn't say anything. You didn't notice me. You didn't acknowledge me. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I've done it so many times. Like, apparently, people would literally be right next to me. And then I think it's, because sometimes I'm on my iPod or something. I'll be listening to music, or then sometimes I'll be kind of a little bit lost in my thoughts, or just really in the zone, getting to where I need to go, because New Yorkers are very much about gotta get to wherever it is I gotta go. It's like, nope, really, really concentrated, really focused. And then apparently I've done that to so many people, and at first I had to clear up the misunderstanding. I'm not ignoring you. I literally not see you, so this is why you have to do more. If you gotta pat me or grab my hand or something to get my attention, please do that.
I picture people just tossing themselves at you, they grow extra arms, hold themselves, and just toss themselves at you, just they gotta get your attention somehow.
It was kind of awkward for a while to have to kind of explain that misunderstanding. I was not ignoring you, believe me. I literally did not see you because I just was way too into my music, or just too into the zone of trying to get from point A to point B.
That is, and the thing is I completely understand that as well, because usually when I'm in the Capitol, which is where our cafe is, I'd be in the Capitol and I'd be on my way to the cafe, or I'd be on my way to something in the Capitol that I have to get done or something like that. And I'd tend to put on a podcast or something. I'd listen to a podcast while I'm walking, or I may have music on. It depends. And in the same way, I tend to not really notice people around. I notice who's in my peripheral vision and nearby me, so I don't walk into the street or something and get run over. But generally, I'm just not looking out for people, basically. And so I can see that. And it's in a similar way in Trinidad. The population in Trinidad is a very metropolitan kind of style country. in the sense that, especially like in the cities areas, everyone's very active. Like everyone's very active. Everyone's moving around. Everyone's doing something. There's not any time to breathe. There's not any time to sort of like take a breather and just stop, take a deep breath and just chill. You know, unlike our sister island, Tobago, where it's just like really chill. Like you land in Tobago and it's just like, oh man, I'm on a, because Trinidad doesn't feel like a Caribbean island to me, whereas Tobago does. Like,
interesting.
It's like Trinidad feels like anywhere else. Like, it just feels like some city or something. Whereas Tobago is it's very island life. Like the big difference when you land in Trinidad's airport looks like a general airport. When you land in Tobago's airport, it's a small airport. There are seashells on the side of the airport. Right as you're landing, the airport is right next to the ocean. So when you land, you see the ocean. And you know, you come out, the taxi drivers all look chill, like everyone just sort of like, man, I'm just relaxing, you know. Everyone just looks super chill. When you land in Trinidad, everyone's just like, hey, I'm going. The taxi drivers are all like standing there and well dressed up, and they're like, come on, let's go. And everything is just really quick. So different. So I can relate.
Because I've gone to like other Caribbean islands before. I haven't been to Trinidad and Tobago, but that's interesting. That it's night and day between the two islands.
Which Caribbean islands have you been to?
I've been to. Oh goodness, I'm trying to remember now.
You've forgotten.
It's because I've been to like a bunch already. I've been to the Bahamas.
Okay.
I've gone to Honduras. Where else have I gone?
Should I start listing Caribbean islands?
I mean, my mind is a blank because especially like, for me, it's like I like to travel a lot.
Same.
So that's why it's like when I go to places, it's like, I know I've been here, but how come I can't remember every place I've been to now? It's like I literally have to get a map of like the entire world and then start putting like little push pins on the map, and then it's like, okay, I've been here, I've been there. It's like my brain just like goes completely blank because it's like, why am I going blank?
That's the good thing.
Places.
I have to say that it's good to know that you love travel, because the thing is, a lot of my American friends, they don't travel very often. They don't even have a passport, some of them, and it weirds me out. Like, it really creeps me out when they're like, oh man, I've never been out of the US, and I don't even have a passport, because it's not like you could tell them like, hey man, let's meet up at this place in this country and it's something, let's just go on an adventure. And you know, it always wears me out when people tell me, and even not just the US, but anywhere, like, it wears me out when people tell me like they live somewhere their entire life and they've never traveled, because it's just like really, if you not even got curious about traveling,
you know, it's like you're missing out.
Man, you're so missing out. Life is all about the experience. You gotta travel.
Exactly.
You gotta travel. And I honestly want to start a travel blog at some point. At some point, I'm gonna start a travel blog. It's gonna be like a YouTube, like a vlogging thing, and you know, I'm just gonna be traveling and experiencing things and just vlogging it. I saw there's this YouTube channel I follow now. I think it's called Nomad Vegan or something like that, or Vegan Nomad. And it's this chick. She's an American, and basically she moved to Europe. And I believe she has a spouse guy that she's with. I don't know if they're married or anything like that, but she travels with him, and I believe they're a couple, and they travel throughout Europe. And the whole thing is that they don't even have visas. They're just going from country to country when their stay expires. Because usually when you go to a country, if you go to a country where you don't need a visa, you usually can stay a period of time, but then you have to leave at some point of time. So it's usually like about 3 to 6 months or something. And so they're just waiting until close to the end of their time, and then they just move on to another country, in Europe, because they're so close. And they're just traveling around Europe with a van and everything, and it's like, and they're vlogging it, and so they're making money off of their vlog, because it has some subscribers, and they're making money off of it. And they're just living the vegan life, and I'm just like, man, this is so cool. I mean, I'm not going to live the vegan life because I'm not vegan, but the whole travel thing, oh man, that sounds so cool.
I know, it's great. I mean, I always get really, really excited when I either watch like a YouTube video or even read like a travel article and then see the pictures. It's like, oh man, I want to go there. Or if I've been there, then it's like I want to go back there.
You gotta do it. It's gotta happen. And honestly, like, especially if you live in a country. For those of you, I know not everyone who's gonna listen to this is gonna be from like either the U.S. or, you know, like, for example, like in my case, I can't like Trinidad, or, you know, some country that has a good passport, because not every country has a good passport. But some countries have a good passport. For me, in from Trinidad and Tobago, we have a really good passport. We can go to most countries, excluding maybe one or two, without a visa. So I can usually just go to a country, like just book a flight and just fly there without even having to worry about anything. I don't have to do any paperwork, nothing. Just book a flight and I'm there. And it's only two countries that I like in my schedule of traveling this that I need a visa for, and it's easier for me to get a visa because I'm a member of the press, and that's the US and Canada. And everywhere else, it's just book a flight and fly, basically. So I think if you do live in a country where your passport is powerful, like it does allow you to travel to a lot of places, you owe it to yourself to just travel and see places. You could even go to like the closest place to you, like one island away, and you'll see stuff that is just so different, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, people need to travel more, man. I mean, it just
definitely.
Listen out.
I know, because in fact, like, just this past summer, I went to Hawaii for the very first time, and then it's been a long time dream of mine, so it finally came true. So I'm very happy about that. But it's beautiful out there. But I mean, it's part of the United States, but then when you're out there, it just seems like it's in a whole other different country.
Yep.
Because it's just like, it's so different being in Hawaii compared to like other U.S. states, and it kind of feels like I'm not in. I don't feel like I'm in the U.S. anymore. It doesn't, guys. I'm not in the U.S. Right? It's like
that is the thing. It's the same feeling I get from Trinidad to Tobago, because Trinidad and Tobago are the same country, they're part of the same nation, but Tobago being a separate island on the side is just so different from it. And even like in the US, to a certain extent, different states feel so different. Like Florida feels so different from San Francisco. San Francisco feels like a place I would live. Florida feels like somewhere I probably wouldn't. I probably would. I love the weather in Florida because it's very similar to the weather here. It's pretty much the same weather. But I don't like Florida itself, because compared to San Francisco is just beautiful compared to Florida. And Florida is kind of like... I was like, yeah, it's... Actually, I kind of feel like Florida feels very similar to Trinidad in a lot of ways. It's like, you know, it's the palm trees, it just feels busy.
Weather.
Say that again.
The hot, humid weather also.
The hot, humid weather, yes. But it's just the air of the people as well. It just feels... The people feel very busy in Florida. Like, it feels like everyone's doing something. I know maybe that's just me, you know, just feeling that way when I see the people. But when I you know, like, for example, like San Francisco and LA, those places seem less busy to me. For some reason they do, especially San Francisco. It's just like everyone seems to just be living the dream, in the sense of like they're doing something that they're passionate about. And for that reason, it seems like they're not even working. Like, you know, they're working, but they're doing something that they like. And so it feels like you see them and they're just so chill in their work. And it's just like, you're not working, are you? You're just here enjoying life. And whereas people everywhere else, you know, people in Florida and stuff like that, it's just like, man, I gotta get up, I gotta go to work. Everyone just feels, you see them and they look tired. They look exhausted, you know.
I mean, I guess it's the Florida heat, I don't know. But then probably if you came to New York, it'd be definitely different, because if anything, everybody here in New York, at least New York City, everyone looks tired and busy all the time.
You know, New York is a state in the US that I've never fancied. I've never really had... The fascinating to go to New York has never come up in my, sort of like my mind. Like, I've never thought, oh my god, I want to visit New York at some point in time. And I probably will, eventually I will, probably. But it's never come up, because New York never really had anything that grabbed my interest. There was never anything that was just like, I need to see this. You know, because it's a city kind of place, and I grew up on an island where it's like a city, and so other than that too, there's just no big things that go on. Like, for example, I like to go to countries where I can go to a nice big convention, and yes, there's New York Comic Con, but I feel like New York Comic Con it's got to be like really, like, what's the right word I want to use? It's got to be like really like New Yorky. Also, I kind of feel like everyone's gonna shout at me. It's just gonna be like, I'm walking over here, and I know that's a stereotype, but still.
Kind of, but I mean, sort of, kind of. I mean, definitely, New York's very crowded. People definitely will get overwhelmed by that sort of thing, especially if you're not used to our kind of crowds. Mm-hmm. If anything, New York City is just really overcrowded. Yeah. I mean, they've done studies, so it's been confirmed that our city's very overcrowded.
And for a claustrophobic person like me, that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm.
I know, it probably wouldn't be. But yeah, you're actually probably one of the few that's like, you know, if I don't ever go to New York, I'm fine with that. Yeah. Compared to almost everybody I talk to, it's like they're always excited about, like, either coming out here one day or at least dream about coming out here if they can. So it's just a common response of like, oh, New York City, like I would love to go there one day. Like it would be like a bucket list kind of a trip.
For me, it's more like I have to say I like more of the western states in the U.S. You know, your Oregons, your Seattles, your San Franciscos, your LAs. Those are the states that are more my pace, because those states seem to be more relaxed, more chill, a lot more progressive as well, and they just seem very nice, I guess, if you want to say, and also very different than what I'm accustomed to. So whereas states more on the East Coast, like Florida, New York, you know, Philadelphia, these states just seem way too familiar to me. Like they just feel like I have experienced a state like this before. I've experienced this. So the fascination for them is less than I need to be there or I need to go there or something like that. Yeah. Though the one reason I will probably do New York at some point, though, would probably be for New York Comic Con or something like that, because of the fact that I do want to do it at least at some point. I do want to probably try New York Comic Con and see what it's like and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, so it is an interesting.
If you ever do New York Comic Con, then yeah, we definitely need to meet up one day.
Yep, have some coffee and tea and some jam and oatmeal. I'll bring my own oatmeal. I'm not trusting the New York oatmeal. Oh my god. Here's the thing though, Christine. I could go on like this all day. You sound like a very interesting person, and I don't just say sound, but you are a very interesting person. But the thing is that I don't think anyone wants to listen to a podcast that is way too long.
Yeah, probably.
We're about an hour in, so at least it looks like an hour, is it? It is about an hour in. So
yeah,
we're about an hour in, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a moment to tell the listeners where they can find you, Christine, and so that way they can go and do the Scooby-Doo thing that I was doing. And,
like try to like look for my photo out there.
Definitely. You know, I really feel like there's gonna be some creepy listener who's gonna really find a picture of you, like find your Facebook and stuff and post it. Please don't do that. That is gonna be so weird.
God.
I will delete any comment that has that in it. I'm just letting you guys know. Please don't do that. But yes, how do we find you, Christine? How do they find you? I already know how to find you.
Yeah. So if you would like to actually follow me on my blog, I'm actually at simpleek.blog.blog. So it's simpleek.blog. So that is where my blog is. I'm actually on Facebook, so you could actually follow me on facebook.com/simpleekblog. I actually pretty much I do pretty much updates every time I do a post. I actually post the blog every Monday, so it's like about once a week. I keep it consistent. I'm actually also on Twitter. You could follow me at Simpleek Girl. It's actually a little bit strange. It's girl, but it's GRL, so it's Simpleek GRL instead of GIRL.
Why is there Simpleek Girl, not just Simpleek on Twitter? Is there a reason for that?
I have no idea, because I think when I was making my Twitter handle at the time, I think I got influenced by like one of my friends, because she had like a AOL email address where she was like sick AFI girl, but it's like a GR, so it's like a GRRL. For some reason, I don't know. I guess it's like it was just kind of like stayed in my head for some reason when I made it. So I just kind of took the I out. It's kind of stupid, but I don't know why. I kept this, just like, I'm just gonna let it go.
Okay, that is very, very interesting. I have to say so. That's very, very interesting. And it has been an interesting time chatting with you. This conversation has been... It has been an interesting conversation. It's been an interesting chat, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed sitting here and chatting with you, and just talking about stuff, about just your blog, what you do, the mysteries around you that have somehow been solved, and all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully the listeners go out there and they find you on social media and all that kind of good stuff. And they check out the stuff you do. I can say your Facebook page only has 48 likes right now. I am one of the 48 likes. So you guys go on and let's see if we can get some more likes on here, so that some more people can see stuff. If I can just say the last few posts from Christine have been an anime review for Steingate, which is I haven't checked that one yet. There's the New York Comic Con 2018 whole day or geek goodness. There's that. There's some pictures of what looks like what do you call this anime with the magical girls?
Just trying to see if I could bring up the Facebook page.
Sailor Moon. It's some Sailor Moon 1 looking thingies.
Oh, that's like that's my cover photo on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan, so.
we didn't even get to really talk about anime, so maybe we'll have to have you on again, and we'll talk about your favorite anime at some point. But yeah.
I would love to come back if you want to have me again.
I do. I think it was amazing. I mean, if we didn't have to cut for time, we could have just gone forever. So
I know.
So we're gonna say thank you to the listeners. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast. As I say, I'm not 100% sure which of the podcasts I'm gonna post this on, and the reason for that is because of the fact that we're still deciding what we're gonna do with Simply Otaku Podcast, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on That Beautiful Life as of yet. I did tell Christine that it was going to be That Beautiful Life, but we may end up just dropping it on Simply Otaku because of the fact that we need content for that podcast. So, yeah. Anywho, so thank you very much for those of you that listen to this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can find me at LP Garden, that's Guardian to You, and that's pretty much everywhere. And you can also find me at SiteTBS, which is the Button Smashers Twitter, or pretty much the Button Smashers anywhere else, and on thebuttonsmashers.com. So, as always, guys, I don't even know if I can use my catchphrase on this because this is not, I'm not sure, but I'm going to use it anyway. So, as always, guys, this has been queued for your pleasure.